Welcome to the Jboy Show, hosted by Jake Crain, the fastest growing sports show in the nation.
I'm Coach Hugh Freeze.
This is Super Bowl champion Brandon Graham.
Hey, this is DJ Shockley, and you're watching.
And thanks for watching the Jboy Show.
Welcome in, everybody. Very excited for today's show. We are going to get to head Arkansas basketball coach Erik Musselman in an interview that you do not want to miss, regardless if you're an Arkansas fan or not. Some great stuff, some great schematical talk, structuring of playing not only in the regular season in the NCAA tournament. And Coach Muss is a fabulous interview as well. I know you guys are going to really enjoy that. But first, I got to give a shout out to betonline.ag. Head over there today. The online casino is always open. We've got Major League Baseball. The NBA Finals are winding down. We should have a game tonight. Make sure you check that out, whether it's parlays, pleasers, teasers, however you get down, game props, team props. They've got it. And if you go there now, whether you sign up mobile, desktop, laptop, doesn't matter. You will get a 50% sign-up bonus. That's right, a 50% sign-up bonus, but you need to do it now before it runs out. My monologue today, I'm going to keep this very short, very sweet. One thing you're going to notice about coaches like Erik Musselman and the guys that tend to have success are guys that are truly themselves. They're not fake. There's a lot of coaches that are fake out there. There's a lot of coaches that put on a mask and try and be cool or try and be somewhere they're not. And you're never going to fool anybody like that. You're never going to fool a recruit like that. You're never going to fool an 18 to 22-year-old like that because they see fake people every day. Erik Musselman is a genuine person. Watch the way he coaches. Watch the way his players play for him. But also watch the way he's able to love them up when they do good. Watch the way he's able to get on them when they do bad. Not in a disrespectful way, but to really coach somebody and they take the coaching. That speaks volumes, especially at this level, especially all the pressure at this level, all the tension at this level. It shows you that Erik Musselman is actually Erik Musselman all the time. That plus, he's obviously a savant when it comes to basketball and being able to set stuff up. He has some great stuff, so you need to check that out. Just remember, all you young coaches out there, don't be fake. Be yourself. There's nothing wrong with being yourself. It's tough to, I guess, fake it till you make it from that standpoint of being a coach. Erik Musselman, we got a great interview, and we're going to get an Arkansas helmet. Shout out Coach Pittman. We need that. Need to get you on here as well. All right, let's get into it. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Jboy Show. Got an unbelievable guest today. We keep trying to bring you guys the best content from the people that do it, the people you watch it, the people that are behind the scenes. And boy, do we got a great one. And we're talking about a program that is absolutely skyrocketed in the basketball realm since he has got there. Had a great run in the NCAA tournament last year. I know they're super excited this year. And that is head basketball coach for the Arkansas Razorbacks, Erik Musselman. Coach Muss, it's an honor to have you on the show, my friend.
No, thanks for having me on, Jake. Appreciate it. Let's have some fun.
Hey, definitely. Ned, let's start there because, I love getting coaches on here and talking philosophy and, how you go about things. And I always thought the best coaches are the people that were really themselves. And when I watch you and I watch your team, not just the way they play on the court, they play balls to the wall on the court, diving, defensively, never surrendering when I watch your guys even in transition. And it seems so genuine to me, and you coach like they play and the rapport that you guys have together, because again, it's tough to get on somebody if they don't trust you or they don't love you. Can you just talk about your philosophy as a head coach? Because man, y'all get after it and your teams play awfully hard.
Yeah, I think, right when you become a new part of a program, it's so important to recruit, the players that are already in place, and then to get them to buy into a style and an identity. And I always think that the style and identity gets down to, especially in year one, whether it's an NBA organization, whether it's MLB organization, whether it's a college program, is how do you gain respect of your conference, meaning the opposing fans, your own alumni base, your own fans in your own building, the referees, the opposing coaches. All those things become really important. And I think you do that by playing hard and playing with passion, playing with energy, always having great effort, regardless of the score, whether you're up, whether you're down. And that's one of the things that we constantly preach all the time, is about playing for 40 minutes, regardless of the scoreboard. Even when we're up, if we're up in a non-conference game, we do not take a possession off. We don't concede if we're have a large lead or we're down big. And we've had some incredible comebacks at Nevada, down 22 to Cincinnati with 11 minutes to go in an NCAA tournament game, down 28 with 12 minutes to go at New Mexico in a road game in one of the most difficult buildings to play in college basketball. Every tournament game that I've been a part of, we've been down double digits. And some of them we've lost, like Baylor, although we played Baylor closer than any team in this year's NCAA tournament. We were down to Florida and lost that game when I was at Nevada. But we came back at Nevada. I mentioned the Cincinnati game. We were also down big against Texas and beat the Longhorns in an NCAA tournament game. And then this year at Arkansas, we were down in each of our games that we won by double digits. And I think you've got to get your team to understand it's a 40-minute game. My dad, who was a coach, Jake, he always talked about there was 3 runs in a game. And how do you control 2 of those 3 runs? And I constantly am hearing his voice say that throughout the course of a game.
Yeah, as a coach's son myself, I know exactly what you're saying, remembering those things as you go. And, Coach, you've been to different places. And something I think is so fascinating, and you've obviously, correlated it beautifully into the college game. How did your experience in the NBA, and I think of the transfer portal now, having guys come in for a year, multiple guys, it's very similar to free agency, something you're used to dealing with and understanding. How did that time in the NBA help you, in college? Because typically it kind of goes the other way around. You've mastered the inverse property, I guess, of that.
Yeah, I mean, everything that we've tried to do is we've just brought the NBA to our program. That's what we've truly done. Like, we don't talk about 4 stars and 5 stars in our recruiting meetings. We literally talk about, is this guy a lottery pick to us? Or is this guy a mid-first round player? Is this guy a second rounder? Is this guy just a roster player, meaning like a free agent type guy? And so it's the same thing with that's how we deal with our high school recruiting platform. And then when we look at, how we talk about transfers, it's NBA free agent terms. Like, is this guy a max guy? Is this guy a mid-level guy? Is this player just a roster filler on a minimum contract? So that's how we word and verbalize.
Smart.
And then we've done the same thing. I mean, our style of play, if you looked at our Golden State Warriors playbook or our Sacramento Kings playbook, it's the same playbook, same play calls. I've been doing this, I guess, 7 years now. We've yet to play 1 second of zone defense. We play all man, all of our principals. The people that I talk to are not people in the college industry.
Yeah.
This morning, talking to Tom Thibodeau, picking his brain on what New York did offensively, because he's known as a defensive coach, but he gave great freedom this year and kind of played a different, unique style. Having his power forward initiate offense. So I wanted to ask him about that and the offensive spacing when a guy like Randall has a basketball and is seeing the floor from a power forward or point forward position. So, and then I always laugh when I read, college coaches talk about the NBA level. How would you know if you've never coached there?
That's a great
how do you know what it takes to be an NBA player or what it's like in an NBA draft room? If you've never sat in an NBA draft room, you don't understand how that truly works. And so I get a chuckle out of that, because there are very few people that have been at that level and then come down here. And I was actually just in Cabo, Mexico, and got to spend 3 days with Avery Johnson.
Nice.
And Avery and I had some great laughs and commentary back and forth about the difference between the NBA and college. Because in reality, Jake, college coaches are not as good as NBA coaches, plain and simple. At the collegiate level, you're dealing with speaking engagements, you're dealing with academics, you're dealing with trying to help young men, be able to work in the real world and adjust to real. In the NBA, it's all basketball, man, 24 hours. So you're going to be a better coach. You're going to work on your craft more. You're going to work on special situations. You're going to know more about player development. How would you not know more about player development at the NBA level when you have no hours restrictions? You got all these. We can work with our guys 4 hours a week. How can people that coach collegiately who only have 4 hours throughout every summer, how can you compare to an NBA player development guy who's got unlimited throughout the summer.
Yeah,
So
yeah, it's
it only
unfair.
makes more sense that NBA coaching is at a much higher level.
Yeah, and again, it's like asking me about how the beaches in Australia look. I've never been to Australia. I don't know, so I'm not going to tell you how the beaches are. I know there's sharks in the water, and I'm not going past knee deep, but that's about it. But you know, Coach, schematically, you bring up a great, but you talk about playing man. And I know there's multiple reasons you play man. Obviously, in football, there's multiple reasons you play man. Sometimes you play straight up man. Sometimes you're playing man because you're blitzing. But when I look at it from a basketball standpoint, does playing man defensively, does that ease the transition game that you guys get into a lot? Is that one of the reasons why you run it, because it's easier to pick up, you know, when you're having to play defensive transition, which to me is one of the most important elements of the game, especially the way the game's played today, because it's basically a track meet up and down most times.
Yeah, we felt that, you know, from the beginning that, well, number one, that's what I'm most comfortable with, is playing man to man because of my background of having worked for, you know, people like Mike Fratello and Doc Rivers and Chuck Daly. Those guys, obviously at the NBA level, you know, 99% of the time you're playing man. And so that's what I knew growing up with my dad being a coach. And so that's what I feel most comfortable teaching and coaching. But yes, I do think it helps our transition defense. And then just that word transition, it also helps our players when they go to the next level.
Yeah.
Because, you know, the greatest compliment that I have ever received is when Cody Martin called me after his first week with Charlotte. And he said, Coach, this is easy. All of our terminology is the same. The way we practice, the practice layout and the practice format's the same. You know, the schemes are very, very similar. That's the greatest compliment maybe that I've ever gotten, an unsolicited comment from, you know, a player that went from the collegiate to the NBA level. And it's the same thing that we get comments made back to us from NBA general managers is your style of play, the discipline that your players have, how hard they have to work in practice. We already know that it's going to be a good transition to our level. So I think those things help as well.
Definitely. And I'm sure in recruiting too, being able to bring guys in and say, listen, you believe you're an NBA player. Well, this is what you're going to do in the NBA. Just ask this guy, and this guy. They can tell you. And again, you guys have recruited so well, whether it's the portal, whether it's high school. And I want to talk about this upcoming year. You know,
hey, Jake,
go ahead.
Jake, that helps. But the problem is everybody else is saying the same thing. Although they haven't been at that level.
That's true. It is. It's funny kind of how it all gets shoveled in. And again, kids are going to get told, you know, multiple things. But again, you know, with your experience as well, being able to use that obviously has helped you guys tremendously. And I want to talk about the team this year, Coach, because again, you guys have made some great additions in the portal as well. And I mean, Bud Walton, you will not find, in my opinion, you look outside the SEC. I know there's great environments. The environment at Arkansas with the fans in basketball is electric, man. And I've actually been to a game down there before. It was a madhouse when I was down there, but I literally watch now, and it is, you know, and again, I know we had COVID and all this stuff, but just for a second, talk about the Razorback fans, because y'all's rapport, I mean, between you guys, I mean, y'all get me fired up watching both of y'all.
Yeah, I mean, I like to have fun with our student body, and you know, I mean, the bottom line too, like our basketball team, when we step between the lines, I mean, we're also in the entertainment business.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it's important for us to understand that from an entertainment style of play that's cosmetically pleasing, a style of play that reaches our fan base and our fan base can connect to. It is our responsibility to connect with our fans. And Bud Walton, you know, we often joke that and it's true numbers wise, we actually led the country in attendance during the pandemic.
Nice.
But we hope this year that we're sold out every game. Obviously our building holds, you know, roughly 20,000 and that's a big goal to have. But internally amongst our walls, we've talked both administratively and with our basketball team, that we want to try to sell out every single game this year. And we understand once SEC play comes that our building's going to be rocking with a ton of enthusiasm. And I think that, you know, the excitement around the program right now continues to grow.
Oh, without a doubt. And coming off the year that you guys had and the standard now that's at Arkansas every year. And that's a compliment to you, your staff, and your players. And looking at this team you have going, what are some things right now? And again, you have limited time, and I understand that we're still obviously in the offseason. We haven't even got to football season yet. But what are some things you're looking for?
Hey, speaking of football, we got to get you a Razorback helmet.
Coach, I was going to say it at the end. I almost tagged Coach Pittman the other day in one. I will literally put it up here in the front. I need one of those beautiful white helmets. I love seeing the red Razorback and the white helmets. We got to get it. And we got to get you some Jboy merch too. And Coach Pittman, we'll have that sent. I'll talk to your people. I'll have my people contact your people. Your people are a lot more important than my people, though. Sorry, guys.
I mean, that was one of the biggest keys to coming on. Is I heard you talking with the Georgia Tech football coach, and there was an exchange of your hoodie.
There was.
I know that was part of your podcast because I was listening to it. I'm like, I got to go on that Jboy podcast. Get your hoodie too.
Hey, well, man, Coach Collins is fantastic. But no, listen, we will send you. We will drop the bag literally to you, man. We got some great stuff, and I'll rock the Arkansas, man. We'll call the Hogs in here. I had Dan Wetzel on the other day, and we were talking about that Texas Arkansas matchup week 2, and I was calling him Coach Muss. I was calling him pretty good. I think everybody would be excited down there.
Well, if Coach Pittman, Jake, doesn't get you the Razorback football helmet, I'll see if I can somehow figure it out. But I think you got a better chance getting it from Sam than me.
Look, Coach Pittman, he's a heck of a dude too, a great guy. But listen, I wonder if there's anything that Erik Musselman, as good as you guys have played, as much as you guys in the fan base are interlocked, I'd be surprised if you couldn't get anything in Fayetteville. I'm surprised you don't have a key to the city already. But, Coach, during this time of year, and yeah, man, I'm now envisioning the Arkansas helmet. It's got me fired up. We may have to put one of these Big Ten helmets out of here, but that's just me. Sorry, guys. It's an SEC show. Grow up, Peter Pan. Shout out Steve Hellwagon. But no, Coach, what are you looking for this time of year? And what are some areas, and again, you guys had a great year last year, but what are some areas, even though it's a new team, that you want to push even further? I feel like you guys can improve in even more.
Yeah, last year our transition offense was we always try to pick an NBA team and study them in the off season. At the last 2 years at Nevada, it was the pace and space of what Golden State had played. We felt like our personnel was similar at the collegiate level to what Golden State had. And then last year, we switched and went in the mode of what the Milwaukee Bucks. And so we actually had a really extensive, Bucks playbook that we stole, whatever you want. We talked to some of the Bucks staff members. Darvin Ham had actually played for me. Ronald Dupree worked for us at Nevada. He's now a scout with the Bucks. Peter Herman, one of our graduate assistants, works with the Bucks. So we were able to really dive into what Milwaukee does, especially because we knew Connor Vanover was a taller center, much like the Lopez situation with the Bucks. And so we were trying to figure out how do we put those pieces. It worked out really, really well for us. We're currently studying an NBA team that I won't say, we're implementing a lot of their stuff. But what we're trying to do really, because we have so many new players every year, so what we're trying to do is style, identity, theme-wise, playing hard, sharing the basketball, them trying to understand that our goal every game is to have 200-plus passes. That is something we stole from Steve Kerr and what Golden State does, although they have a much higher number at 320 of passes based on a shorter shot clock, a 48-minute game compared to a 40-minute game. So we took that formula, statistically broke it down, and thought that 200-plus passes. So just those things, trying to implement, sharing the basketball, passing up a good shot for a great shot. And then everybody from the defensive end is, how do you have great transition defense, and how do you stop pick and roll basketball? Those are the two areas that we constantly work on every single day to try to improve and get better. And you do all that through effort and communication on the floor.
Without a doubt. And anytime you're talking about defense in any sport, it always starts with effort. Something that, you should show up with, and your guys obviously do. And coaches, we're winding down here. We're here with head basketball coach for the Arkansas Razorbacks, Erik Musselman. Excited to get him on his debut on the Jboy Show. We've been pumped about it all week. Low-key walking around here high-fiving. But, Coach, last couple questions for you. The Southeastern Conference, and I grew up, I'm 31 years old. I've grown up loving watching SEC basketball. And, there's been times and blips where you've had a couple teams that, obviously Kentucky, we know the tradition there, Florida, we know what they did in that run. But I look around the league right now, Coach, not only are there no weeks off, I mean, you literally have to bring it every game, home or away, from the top to the bottom. And I look around and I really believe, and it may be closer than what I think, in the next 2 to 4 years, the SEC will be the elite basketball conference in the country. I really believe that. Look at the coaches. I mean, look at your coaching.
Yeah, I would say, in reality, Jake, that my very first SEC head coaches meeting, I looked around the room and I'm like, yeah, that guy's won a national championship. That guy's been to Final Four. That guy's been to a Final Four. I texted my wife like 5 minutes in and I said, somebody in this room is going to come in last place.
Yeah,
and that guy's probably a pretty damn good coach.
Yeah, that's exactly
so
right.
that was my first time sitting in that room, and the respect that I have for all the coaches. I mean, every single night you're talking about a really, really good X and O coach. And then the talent level, it is the best conference in college basketball.
I agree.
And it doesn't matter what the media members say. Look at the NBA draft last year.
Great point.
That's where all the best players in college basketball came from the SEC.
It's true.
And that's what is going to probably happen again in this draft, is you will see dominance by the SEC in the NBA draft. So everybody can have their own opinion, but at the end of the day, how many players are playing at the next level from our conference, and then how many guys each year are getting drafted out of our conference. And you're going to see a large number again this year, just like last year, there was total dominance by the SEC as far as the draft went.
Yeah, and my final question here, Coach Musselman, I agree 100%. It's the best spreadsheet you can find is who the NBA decides they want to draft and have play for them and pay lots of money. I don't think there's a better, judgment than that. But my last question is there a difference? And I know obviously the scenery last year was kind of weird with the pandemic, staying at one place for the tournament, but the way you coach, and not, your style, but schematically, does a lot change going from the regular season to the NCAA tournament? Like, for example, playing in a playoff, bowl game in college, you add a bunch of stuff during that time off. Is it a lot of adding, or is it, little adds here and there? Because again, some of these opponents you don't have a ton of time to prepare for, but maybe that's where that NBA background comes in a little bit. I'm guessing. I may be wrong.
Yeah, I will tell you this for sure, that at the NBA level, Jake, that the each round that you advance and each game, going from game one to game, there's so many adjustments that go into NBA play. No one has any idea unless you're in those meetings, and the dilemmas and the problems that go from game to game to game to game, and the adjustments, the little tinkering. There's no question in the NCAA tournament that you have got to adjust. You've got to adjust on the fly during the game, number one, because you're right. When you play Colgate, you don't really know what they are. You've only had a limited amount of time to study them on video. You've never seen them live. Once that flow of the game starts happening and you start reading matchups, you've got to really be able to adjust. You've got to be able to have a plan A, plan B, plan C, and potentially a plan D for every game. And you've got to go through those with your team. You can't blindside them in a timeout and try to diagram something when the stakes are so high, when everybody in the nation is watching games. You've got to have all of those plans in place prior to the opening tip-off of the game. And then you've got to be able to read adjustments. For instance, we had our plan D was to post up Oral Roberts, point guard, Max Abmas, but that was not plan A, plan B, and plan C. I guess you could call me stupid for not doing it earlier in the game. But as the game progressed and we had already gone through our game script of what we wanted to try to find out offensively, how they were guarding post-ups, how they were guarding pick and rolls, what were they going to do on our double screening situations, we finally got to, hey, our point guard, Jalen Tate, is going to back down their point guard. Where is our spacing and cutting going to be when they start to sag or trap or dig in the post? And I thought our guys did a great job of adjusting to that, although Oral Roberts had a great game plan as well.
Yeah, and again, Oral Roberts got hot at the right time too. A team that, as you know, but had to win their conference tournament to get in, and that's how the game of basketball and sports is. And Coach Muss, I could talk to you about this all day, man. I know neither one of us have the time, especially you, but I know our audience really appreciates it. Not just the Arkansas fans, man. This is a great interview. I really appreciate your time, Coach, and obviously best of luck.
No, thanks so much, Jake. Would love to come on and join you again. Love
Yes,
your
sir.
podcast. I got one question before we leave.
Go ahead.
I see you have an MLB hat on, but it's on backwards. What team is that?
It's the Atlanta Braves. Oh, man. And Acuna went down the other day. It just broke my heart. Well, it's funny. I've been a Braves fan my whole life, Coach. Never lived in Atlanta. The Braves do well when I'm not in Atlanta. I moved to Atlanta, and then they decide to play bad, and Ronald Acuna goes down. But, at the end of the day, it is what it is. I do love it here, but I am a Braves fan. You keep up with Major League Baseball?
I'm a diehard San Diego Padre fan. I have the MLB network. I watch every Padre game every night that they're on. It's difficult with the time change. That means there's some late nights when they're playing on the West Coast, but the Padres are the most exciting team this year in baseball. But my wife is from Atlanta.
Okay.
And so in the house, we have this Braves Padre thing going on.
I love it. I know a lot of Braves fans are worried about Freddie Freeman going that way if they don't go ahead and lock him up. I know you wouldn't be upset about that if he went out to San Diego, but Trey Wingeter's actually a buddy of mine that plays out there for the Padres, pitcher in the SEC. But no, that's great, Coach. Well, next time I may tweet at you next time the Braves beat the Padres, just to let you know a little something that I'm watching it. But
that's fine. I'm just glad the Padres got the cops from Arkansas.
He may be the best player in the draft. I can't believe he went down that far. Kevin had an unbelievable year, but Coach, we're definitely going to get you back on. I'm going to get that helmet regardless. Reach out, and I'm going to get the information to send you some hoodies and stuff. And like I said, man, I really appreciate you coming on, brother.
No, appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Yes, sir. We appreciate you guys as well. Go to the jboyshow.com, grab some merch. Going to look good like Coach Muss. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, subscribe, Instagram and Twitter at the Jboy Show. Y'all know what it is. All ball, no politics, the way you like it. It's been another edition of the Jboy Show. And like Coach Muss's opponents in the NCAA tournament, I'm gone.
The Jboy Show is produced by David Cohn, Technical Director Dave Hammock, Creative Director David Culbertson, Audio Engineer Feyzan Shareef, Production Assistants BLAIN, Crain, and Kyle Orr, Executive Producers Jake Crain, Vince Thompson, Steve Chamberlain, and David Cohn. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel and visit our website, thejboyshow.com, for updates regarding our newest apparel and merch designs. Win the water cooler with the Jboy Show.